Hi, I'm Christian Brindle, and welcome to the Everything Medicare Podcast.
What's up, Everything Medicare Podcast Nation? This is Christian Brindle. Wherever you are and however you might be listening to me today, thank you so much for taking the time. This is episode 188 of the Everything Medicare Podcast. Today is Saturday, folks. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I hope you had a fantastic week. And if you're not familiar with my work, folks, I've published 3 books on the topic of insurance, 2 specifically about Medicare. And me and my company, Christian Brindle Insurance Services, every single week we bring you 3 podcast episodes where we discuss your Medicare, your Medicaid, your Social Security, and every single thing that has to do with that golden age called retirement, folks. Be sure when you're done listening to this to check out my website, www.christianbrindleinsuranceservices.com, for all your latest Medicare news and centric information, along with our weekly blog, where we are now bringing you blogs every single week, where we're talking about the latest, greatest Medicare information. Folks, for those of you who don't know my story, I started in this business when I was 20 years old. I set someone up with a Medicare policy before I was legally able to drink. Now, this coming summer, I will turn 28 years old. So I've spent pretty much my entire adult life in the insurance business, Medicare specifically, and I've dealt with a lot of people. You know, I've spoken to, several thousands of people over the years who have been, turning 65 and approaching Medicare age, and I've worked with countless people on their Medicare health plans, particularly people that are turning 65 the first go around. Now, that being said, by me having this kind of level of experience by working with people, I've seen a lot of things. I've seen people handle the Medicare process very well, and I've seen those that handle it very poorly. And I understand the people that do handle it poorly. I mean, you have to think in a world where the Medicare business, most people don't realize that there's a lot of money in the Medicare business. The insurance companies know this. With all of the government funding that's involved and everything that goes into the Medicare business, anybody that's involved understands how important it is for them from a business perspective to basically become your best friend when you're turning 65. So typically what you can expect is when you turn 65, I would say typically about a year away from your 65th birth month. Because what do we know about Medicare? Medicare starts on the first day of your birth month. Okay? So typically about a year beforehand, you can expect to start getting bombarded in a myriad of different ways. Let me explain. You can expect to get stacks and stacks and stacks of mailers all about Medicare. Now, you might be thinking, well, great, this thing's confusing. This stuff is confusing. I could use some stuff to read. Think again. The stuff that you're going to be getting in the mail, folks, is nothing more than pamphlets and brochures. The most helpful thing you'll get in the mail is the Medicare and You book that comes from Medicare directly. But other than that, you're going to get nothing but brochures and pamphlets that tell you actually barely anything except for maybe 1 or 2 selling points of a particular product, but don't explain how it works. They don't explain the good, the bad, the ugly. Their job is to basically draw you in, get you to pick up the phone or send back a reply card. That is the intention of all of these things you're going to be getting in the mail. For most people, it's overwhelming. I came into the business as a second generation. My dad has been working with people in the Medicare business since I was, before I was even born, actually. So I grew up around the business. My dad just got on Medicare himself a couple of years ago. My mom, several years before that. My mom's 69. She'll be 70 this year. My dad's 67. He'll be 68 this year. So even for my own parents, I saw that this happened to them. My dad got every single piece of mailer that you can possibly imagine. He must have gotten 300 things of mail 6 months before his birth month, all the way up until his birthday. And even some things thereafter. From every insurance company you've heard of, from several that you probably haven't heard of, from some goof that you don't know that's a local Medicare agent that takes a bad picture of himself and puts it on a brochure. That's typically what you can expect. The other thing that you can typically expect is your phone to start ringing off the hook with people picking up the phone and cold calling you. People may even show up at your door unannounced. There's very few things in our lives, folks, where we can really expect that level of marketing to kind of fall upon us. I can't think of anything else. When you're buying life insurance, you're probably not going to have people coming to your door. You're probably not going to have 10 different people cold calling you per day. You're probably not going to get hundreds of pieces of mail in the mail. Not when you're buying a home. Not when you're buying a car. Nothing else. The Medicare industry is a very unique one just due to the fact that people that are turning 65 get hounded, bombarded with information, whether they want it or not. And I'd say 999 times out of 1,000, it does more to confuse them than it does anything else. But you got to think about it like this. The insurance companies and the people that are sending these mailers are not trying to educate you. They're trying to intrigue you, to get you to pick up the phone, call them, and let them sign you up for a product. That is the sole purpose. It's not to have you understand your different choices. It's to say, listen, we're the best, and we're not going to tell you why. So because of this, it's very understandable. I've seen a lot of people make very good decisions, very quality decisions as far as, knowing how to handle it. And I've seen people make very poor decisions that kind of crack under the pressure of having this barrage of marketing and salesmanship fall onto them all in such a short period of time. In this episode, I'm going to talk about the 3 biggest mistakes I see people make when they turn 65. We'll talk about how you can avoid them. I have to take a quick break. We'll be back in segment 2 after we hear from this week's sponsor. And I'll unveil the 3 biggest mistakes the way I see it. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Thanks so much for sticking with me through that break. I am so happy to be here, and I'm so happy that we're getting close to 200 episodes. Let's get into the 3 biggest mistakes that I've seen people on Medicare make. Number 1, I would say, is they take the information and they take the opinion of their neighbors and their family members who have gotten onto Medicare before them like it's gospel, which is absolute insanity to me. Let me explain. When someone has gotten onto Medicare before you, that does not make them an expert on Medicare. I'll break out a statistic for you. According to one of the largest insurance companies in the world that put out an article several years ago, now this article was put out in 2016, but it said at that point in time, it said 7 out of 10 people on Medicare did not understand their plan well enough to explain it to somebody else. 7 out of 10. All that means is they got on Medicare before you did, and hopefully they were recommended a good plan by an agent. But many were not. Just because they signed up for a plan number 1 does not mean it's the best available plan. There could be several plans out there that they're not even aware of that are better than their plan. Number 2, they might be on the best plan for them specifically. Let's say their agent did a good job for them. But that particular plan might be what's best for them. It does not mean it's what's best for you. You and your friend, your neighbor, your family member, whoever this might be, has completely different situations, have completely different preferences. And you need to take that into consideration. I see so many people that will call us up and say, I want such and such plan because so-and-so has it. I'm like, would you like to know anything about it? No, I just want it. That's a mistake, folks. That is a mistake. You're shopping based on the needs of your family or member or friend, not based off of your own. That plan was picked to suit their needs and preferences specifically. You should at least know what it is, and if it suits what you're looking for, to determine the same thing. So that's number one. Picking a plan just because you know somebody else that has it. Big, big mistake. Number two is calling a 1-800 number from a commercial they see on TV. Calling Joe Namath. When you call Joe Namath, folks, what you're getting is you're not getting Joe Namath. Joe Namath doesn't even know what he's advertising, I'm willing to bet. They're cutting him a check to read a script. He's a paid celebrity endorser, like many companies. So, when you call Joe Namath, what you're getting routed to a call center in God knows where, and you're being routed to somebody who's taking calls from all 50 states. They're trained to sell you a specific product, typically Medicare Advantage. They typically don't know much about Medicare supplements, if anything. Now, this isn't the case with all call centers, but with a lot of 1-800 numbers, this is very likely going to be the case. And they're just basically trying to sell you a plan. They're in a boiler room somewhere, folks. And a lot of these places don't check your doctors, they don't check your prescriptions, and they don't even know if it's the best plan for you. They're just trying to get a sale, get it quickly, get you off the phone. They have quotas to meet. They have time limits they're put on their phone calls. They're not allowed to be on the phone very long. Does that sound like the type of situation you want to put yourself in? Millions do every year. And out of those millions, a large percentage of them don't feel like they're on the best plan for them, or they're dissatisfied with what they purchased. Don't be that person. Number 3 is waiting till the last second to make your decision. I've seen this happen time and time again, folks. And we even did an entire episode dedicated to this a few weeks ago. The last thing you want to do is wait till the last second. Why? Because when you're getting onto Medicare, if you're drawing off of your Social Security, you're automatically going to be enrolled in Medicare Parts A and Medicare Parts B. Medicare Part A and Medicare Part B. You don't have to do anything with that. So that part is probably the most complicated part done for you. But that being said, if you're not drawing off Social Security and you have to go through the process of enrolling onto Medicare, you never know how long it's going to take them to get one of those applications taken care of. You don't want to wait a week before your birthday or the start of your birth month, because chances are you're going to have a very difficult time getting it to start on time. Medicare is designed to start the first of your birth month. Yes, it can start later. You have a 7-month window, 3 months before, the month of, and 3 months after. But it is more difficult to have it start later than your birth month than to just have it start the way it was designed. I always tell people you want to be enrolling into A and B 90 days before your birth month. Give it as much time as possible, especially in this pandemic world we're in now. You never know how long it's going to take Social Security to get it done. Do not put it off to the last second. You're playing with fire at that point, folks. Folks, I have some final thoughts I'd like to share with you. But I have to take one more break, hear from this week's sponsor. I'll be back with you in segment 3. I have a lot more to say. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Thanks so much for sticking with me all the way to the end. Folks, to refresh on my top 3, buying a plan just because your family member did, it's a mistake a lot of the time. You need to make sure that you go through the options. You need to narrow it down based on your specific needs and preferences and do it from scratch. That's typically my recommendation. Now, could it be that the best plan for you ends up being the same plan that your neighbor or family member has? Yes, it could be. It's not to say that the plan that your neighbor or family member has is bad, But there's far too many people that just blindly jump into those plans just because someone they know has it and not because it's what's best for them. They don't look at the options. That is a big mistake. I don't encourage you to do that. That's number one. Number two is signing up with a 1-800 number. I think even if let's say they did sell you the best plan for you. Let's just say, hypothetically speaking, they sold you the best plan for you. You don't have customer service with that agent. You'll never be able to get that agent back on the phone again. When you call that organization, you get a different person every time. There's something to be said about having an independent agent that you can call that is there to take care of you, there to answer questions year-round. You're giving up that commodity. You're giving up that asset when you call a call center. And that's just the way that it is. It's better to work with an independent agent. An independent agent who is going to be there for you that offers you year-round customer service. That's number two. Number three, waiting till the last second can be very dangerous. I've seen certain people that wait so long that they end up having to wait a year to get on their Medicare. And that does happen. If you miss your window, you have to wait till the next window opens. And you have to pay a penalty for missing the window. It's not worth it. Give this as much time as possible. If it happens to get done in a couple weeks to a month, clap your hands and be happy about it. Sometimes they're very fast at getting these things done. Sometimes they're very, very slow. So let's just make sure that we get this done with plenty of time in advance. Folks, I really hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you got something out of it. As always, if you live in one of the 10 states that Christian Brindle Insurance Services, my organization, is licensed to work with you in, we are independent. We work with all the biggest insurance companies in the industry, and we'd be happy to help you. Our number is 801-255-5340, 801-255-5340. And we are licensed to work with you if you live in the states of Utah, Idaho, Colorado, Washington, Oregon, California, Texas, Virginia, South Carolina, and Florida. Again, that's Utah, Idaho, Colorado, Washington, Oregon, California, Texas, Virginia, South Carolina, and Florida. 801-255-5340. I'd love the opportunity to be able to talk with you. If you're already on Medicare, we'd love to be able to look at your plan and see if there may be something better that you weren't aware of that exists in your market. Thanks for being here with me, folks. Have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe, stay healthy, and until Monday, take care now.